different. They just turned on their integration, so all their business on that.
Again, this is Brian Jenkins. I'm from RunSignUp, and today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the USA Triathlon tools. Some of our customers are already utilizing this, and it's a great tool to allow you to automatically verify in the registration path that participants do currently have a USA Triathlon membership, or they do not, and they can purchase a membership. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with our demo race and show you some tools on how we can potentially get all this set up. So the first thing is in the RunSignUp admin dashboard, we're going to click on race, and then we're going to click on registration, and then underneath there, we're going to click advanced pricing. So the other option I have is I could type in membership, and the memberships would then be able to go here and set up my memberships. So there's several different ways to set up your memberships. So this race in this demo environment, and it's somewhat unusual, but it could be possible. There's a 10K and a 5K, and then there's a triathlon and triathlon relay. If you have a combination of events and certain events are not insured by USA Triathlon, that's where you would want to actually drill into the particular race. You would add a membership setting, and then you're going to select USA Triathlon. So if all of your events are USA Triathlon sanctioned, you can just click here and add it one time, and it will apply to all events. One thing you would not want to do is set it up on all events and then set it up on each individual event, because you would then have 2 USA Triathlon verification steps. So what I can do then is I can put in my USAT event ID, and this is one of the important notes to discuss, is that you would want to go to USA Triathlon and go through the basics of sanctioning your event and getting your USAT event number from USA Triathlon, so you could insert this into our system. If you don't know, or you've happened to lost it, there is a search capability. I will say that sometimes it's not necessarily the easiest tool to find things, but let's say I wanted to sanction the Power Sprint Triathlon. I can click on that. It puts in my event ID number, and now I can hit save. So now the sanctioning is actually set up for this race. Same thing, I would do that for the relay, and I'm going to just copy that event, add membership setting. I'm going to select USA Triathlon, plug in that number, and hit save. So it's important to note you need to do this for each one of your triathlons. If you're doing multiple triathlons, you have a unique event ID for each one, and you would not use the same one. So if you had a race in April and a race in August, those would have 2 separate USAT event IDs. So what we're going to do then is I'm going to show you the registration process. So I'm going to just sign up. I'm going to autofill my information here, and then I'm going to select that I'm going to sign up for the triathlon. And then I'm going to continue through the process here, create the waiver. So what we want to see is this right here. So this is actually inserted from the USA Triathlon membership system. This is not controlled by RunSignUp. This is actually text and functionality coming from USA Triathlon. So I have several different options. I can put in my USAT member number. I can buy a one-day membership. I can buy a new USAT membership, and I can renew a USAT membership. And then probably the least common option would be a participant were to go to the USA Triathlon website and buy a one-day membership, and then they could actually upgrade that one-day membership to an annual membership. So that is something that someone can do. It is somewhat rare. So I'm not currently a USA Triathlon member, so I'm going to go ahead and say I want to buy a one-day license. I do not have a one-day code to enter here because I have not bought one yet. Then what I have to do is I'm going to show the waiver, and this is really important for new users, is to know that you do not have to, once you enable this integration, insert the USA Triathlon waiver. The waiver is actually approved by USA Triathlon. They have to click on it and view it before they can actually agree to it. So the waiver that you're inserting into RunSignUp when you're setting up your race is actually specific to your organization. You do not have to add the USA Triathlon waiver into our system. This is part of that integration, which is super helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and sign this. Now you will see this option that says sign later. And the reason that sign later is there is if I were to be signing up, say, a friend for a triathlon, in particular it could be a triathlon relay, I might select sign later because I'm not authorized to sign the waiver for that person. So that's something we're going to get to a little bit later. And it is something that could potentially be disabled, and we could help you talk about some of the pros and cons of turning that off. So once I continue, I'm going to continue past the donation step and some of this other stuff. And I'm going to show you at checkout. At checkout, it tells me I've got a $50 triathlon. I've got a $15 USAT one-day license. And it's important to note that if you turn this on, the one-day memberships or annual memberships, any purchases through USA Triathlon's membership portal, that money is going directly to USA Triathlon, and RunSignUp is handling that for you. And we do have some reports on that to show you. And I know some of you may have some questions, and I just wanted to let you know the way that I handle the questions is at the end, we take a look at your questions, and I do my best to try to answer all those questions. And if there's some question that I'm not able to answer, we'll reach out to you and work with you to answer that question. So that's the registration process. That's what the participant's going to see. They're going to agree to the waiver. They're going to either put in their current USAT member number, they're going to renew their membership, or buy a one-day membership. So that's all built in. Now, on the other side is, as an admin, what do I have access to? So what I want to show you is, we're going to change gears here, is the system records all of the different types of memberships that you sold, and it's going to point out how many youth memberships and adult memberships that you sold and the revenue that's been brought in. So when you go to report to USA Triathlon and fill out your accounting report, we have this information that can be shared with USA Triathlon. One other really neat thing is that if you do get some paper entries, you can type them in, and you can then indicate, youth or adult memberships, and that will show up here, and then it will reflect in your totals, which is very helpful. So moving along, the other important component to this is participant waivers. So within participant waivers, we want the most important things, because we all know that the big benefit that USA Triathlon can provide is this very good insurance product that protects you and your participants in the event of a situation where a claim might need to be submitted. So we actually record the registration ID, the participant's name, the registration date and when they signed their waiver, and the IP address, and what version of the waiver they agreed to. You do not have to worry about the version of the waiver. If USA Triathlon were to update their waiver, they would pass that on to RunSignUp, and we would get that updated in the process. So what this means is that all of this information is shared with USA Triathlon, so that if any of your participants were to have a claim, they know exactly who signed the waiver, and if they sign the waiver, what IP address that they sign that from, and it should be lock solid to you as the organizer to protect you, to make sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be for the waiver signature. So that's really important. One of those components that I talked about a little bit earlier is that option to sign later. Some of our organizations remove that and make everybody sign up individually, even on the triathlon relays. Some organizations kind of have some, say, hey, I'm okay with other people for triathlon relays specifically, that they'll sign up others. We're going to get a physical waiver signature from all of those people. But part of this integration is to help you from not having to get as many waiver signatures at your event site, because we've digitally stored and shared with USA Triathlon the correct waiver signatures there. Now, if you were to still have the sign later option turned on, there is a function in our email system to send emails out to participants who have not signed their waiver. So that is something that you can create. So you can create a list, and you can create a list specifically to groups of participants who have not signed their waiver and sent that out. And the first time you do that, you're probably going to want to reach out to us. We can show you how to build a custom list, and that custom list will include people only who have not sent out their email, who have not signed their waiver. My experience has been is when we send these emails out to people who have not signed their waivers, the opt-in rate is not great, meaning like not a lot of those people are clicking the link to agree to their waiver. Some people will. I just realized that, the email coming from RunSignUp, my buddy signed me up for my first triathlon relay. I had no idea I'm supposed to sign a waiver. So it is something that is helpful, although not completely foolproof, or something that's going to eliminate all unsigned waivers, specifically with triathlon relays. The other thing I wanted to talk about is, in particular, triathlon relays and some of the uniqueness around triathlon relays. So the first thing is that when you set up your race in the Race Wizard, you do want to set up an event called Triathlon Relay. And if you may have two types of relays. You may have a 2-person relay and 3-person relay, or you may just have a relay and you can have 2 or 3 people. So you may have to set up multiple triathlon relays, triathlon relay 2-person and triathlon person relay 3-person, if they were to be charging differently. Say it's $80 for the 2-person and $100 for the 3-person. That is something you would probably want to set up separately. Once you set up the event, you're also going to want to set in your pricing, and you can set your pricing per team in the wizard here, in the registration step, to say it is in fact $80 for the relay. Once you've done that, we would then want to go to participants. In the admin section, we would want to go to participants and group/teams, and we want to go to setup. And so from there, we want to set up a team type, and I generally label it as relay. You can put some different descriptions in there and describe, how people could register for the relay. You're also going to want to select the event, which in this case would be the triathlon relay that this applies to. And then within advanced settings, you can restrict, if you want to, whether you want people to select if they're all male, all female, or all co-ed teams. A lot of triathlon relays I work with, triathlon relays is an entry point to get new participants in, so they're typically not super competitive where they may not want to do that. You can set up additional rules like, team joining or ends at a certain date. You can set minimum and maximum number of members for males, females, just overall, etc. You can even set up age groups, which is extremely rare. That would probably only be applicable in very competitive events with a lot of relay teams. And then you also would want to set that you want to require everyone on a relay to join a group/team. So once we've done that, the only other thing that we need to do is set up our pricing. And this is relatively simple. So what we would do is I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. We would say for the relay team type, we're going to add a registration fee. It would start on January 1st. And let's say it goes through 31st. It's applicable to the triathlon relay. And hang with me here, this may seem a bit confusing, but what we're going to say is after member 1 joins the group, each following member is going to pay $0. Effectively, what that means is that the pricing that you set up in the wizard, the first person, the team captain, is going to pay the price, which is the most common way to do it. And after that, every other member would pay $0. Now, there are instances where some relays charge $50 per person. In that case, you can ignore all this. You still do need to set up your team types, but you don't have to set up the pricing set up for teams. This is specific to I want to charge per team and not per person. So once you get that set up, you can hit save. You can also add another price, or you can add another registration fee, which would say, you know, from February 1st on, you can have another price point. So those are really great options to get all set up. And let's see, what did I just do wrong? Oh, I missed my 17. And these are things that we at RunSignUp are happy to help you with. We're happy to chat with you and make sure all these things are set up correctly. And we also encourage you to test your registration page to make sure that everything looks correct before you put it out to the public. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to take a look at some of the questions that you guys have, because that might open up the discussion a bit more to help us understand, you know, what kind of questions that other users have. So I'm going to take a look at the questions here. And here we go. Actually, I'm not showing that there's any questions that have been asked by anyone from the group. So at this time, if you've got some questions that you want to ask, you know, please go ahead and submit them into the GoToWebinar, and I take a look at them. You know, usually we have questions in here. So I'm going to give it another minute or so and see if there's still any more questions that have come in. One important component that I did want to mention, we actually did a blog post on this, and there's not actually anything that we can do to change this, is that if you have a participant that purchases an annual membership through USA Triathlon, through this integration that we just reviewed, there is an 8-hour delay until they actually get the confirmation email with their new USA Triathlon member number. There's nothing that we can actually do to speed that up, unfortunately. That's a delay that's built into the USA Triathlon system. So if they were to buy a brand new membership and sign up for race 1, and then they were to sign up for race 2, then they would have to wait on that new member number for a period of time. And I understand as a participant it's super frustrating, but unfortunately that's not anything that we can actually do. So I do want to bring that up. Just got a couple questions that come in. I've got a couple questions about relays. So first question is that what if relays need to change members out after the original 3 have been entered? So with the setup that we have, the team captain can go into their team, they can X out a member, and then another member could go in and join their team. The only real negative thing with that is very commonly, if I'm the team captain and Sean asked me this question, Sean joins my team. If Sean is not a USA Triathlon member, he pays the $15 for the one-day membership. That one-day membership is burned. Now, USA Triathlon is trying to work on ways to get people to be able to use it at other races. I don't have a lot of clarity on like exactly what the rules are on that, but that is something that the participant would have to work with USA Triathlon to be able to reuse that potentially. So that is something that the team captain could manage. And somebody asked me if I could go over the relay sign-up settings. Sure. So number 1 is in the race wizard, you want to add an event called Triathlon Relay or Sprint Triathlon Relay. Let's say you have a Sprint Triathlon Relay, an Olympic Triathlon Relay. You would want an event specific to the relay. Once you set up the event, you would then go into participants, groups, teams, and setup. You would then add a group type. I called this one relay, but let's just say we had 2 types. You know, I could add Sprint Relay, and then I could add another group type called Olympic Relay. So you could have specific types of teams with correlation to specific events. Now, in this case, I don't actually have an Olympics, so I'm just going to get rid of that and save it. From there, what I would do is, after that, if we're charging per team, I would have the pricing of, say, $80 per team in the wizard, so it would be $80, and then in RunSignUp, I'm going to add a registration fee. I'm going to set the dates of when it starts, when it ends, and this would be the same if you've got multiple price points, meaning it's $80 until March 30th. You would keep adding additional registration prices if the price escalates for the relay. And the only thing that you would do is say, after member number 1, additional members are going to pay $0. And again, what that means is that the team captain is paying the $80, and every member after that is paying $0, excluding the USAT membership fees. So the next question was, is that what if the team captain is the one that needs to be changed? So what you would want to do is you would actually want to change that for them. So you would go into the group scenes, you would view the group, you would click on the group, and then what you would do is hit Add Administrator. You would add another administrator for the team, and then remove the team captain here, and then you would also want to remove the person. So you need to, as an admin, manage that if the team captain is the one that's going away. So you would add them as the team captain, and then the team would be able to continue to function. So the next question is that does it matter if there's a 2-person or 3-person teams or 5-person teams, like marathon relays, or just call them relays? That's aesthetics, or like how you want to position things. So I sometimes will see that people will set up multiple events, triathlon relay, 2-person, triathlon person, 3-person additional events in there. Sometimes you may set those up as group types. The reason is if you really do have competitiveness within 2-person teams versus 3-person teams, or in marathon relays, 3-person marathon relays versus 5-person marathon relays, then you want to get that granular. So Matt wanted to, at RunSignUp, wanted to point out is with team captains being removed, as long as there's at least 1 member on the team, everything is still going to work okay. So you wouldn't want to completely remove everyone off the team. Hopefully that would not have to happen. The other point that I wanted to point out, I haven't gotten this question a lot, but I can imagine if I was a race director for a triathlon, I might have this question, is you cannot discount USA Triathlon memberships. So that $15 or $50 is not discountable through our system. So you can set up a coupon. That coupon can be good for 100% off, and it is totally irrelevant to the membership step. So if you have someone and they're supposed, you're going to eat their 1-day membership, you're going to have to type them into the back end of the system, because there's not a way to get around that step on our side. Like, I can't even get around it. So that is everything I wanted to cover today, specific to triathlon. I think that we had a lot of questions about relays. I think that was kind of what I expected. Triathlon relays are definitely unique in that it's an important component. It's often a painful component. A lot of it has to do with new participants and them learning, how the process works. So if you're ever having trouble with a relay, please reach out to us. We'll help you get that squared away. We can give you some different options on how to set it up and talk you through that process. This webinar will be recorded, so if you missed the first 10 minutes or the first 5 minutes, it is going to be recorded. It'll be up on the RunSignUp website to probably in the next 24 hours, and we do send an email out summarizing what we discussed, along with a link to this webinar to watch it again if you missed some things. We appreciate you guys participating in the RunSignUp webinar series. I'm going to pull up some of the next things we've got going on here. We've got the next one that I think people are really interested in is we've got the fundraising updates, and we've got an advanced fundraising webinars coming up. We've got some really great tools. We are really fortunate to be working with Komen Philadelphia, who are really pushing us to get better. And so we look forward to being able to share with some of the neat things that we're able to do there. Again, I'm Brian Jenkins from RunSignUp, and this is Triathlon Tools, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Thank you.